we're going live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. This is the shit show where we get influencers on every week and we literally argue about who's right or wrong when it comes to motocross and supercross and super duper cross and super motocross and all the above. And today, as always, we've got the mad scientist, Coach Robb. We've got Cooksey. He's somewhere in an unknown location. I think he's hiding from everybody because he looks very small. And then we've got Travis with Moto Aftermath show. How are you guys doing, boys?
We are doing good, man. Thanks for having another show. And
awesome. Well, I know that the race was canceled, but the show must still go on. And for that reason, let's just start it on off with Austin Forkner and his epic oops crash, which I know I made a video about saying as to it was sort of his fault for leaning on and then leaning the other direction. But it brought up an interesting question with knee braces. And I believe he's got a tibia plateau fracture. His ACL is gone. His MCL is gone. His meniscus is not good. Like everything inside the knee is not good. And so the argument is, did knee braces protect or make the injury worse? And so, Coach, let's start off with you. What is your take on protective equipment, thinking of knee braces?
Well, I don't think that you can. There's always going to be two schools of thought. If you look at the way the majority of the knee braces, they wrap around the femur, which is the largest bone in the body. Then it goes and wraps itself around tib fib. If you have that much torque in the knee joint itself, and you have two attachments, one on the femur and one on the tib fib, just think what that knee would look like. Because whether we like knee braces or not, that lateral torsion of that lower leg was minimized because of that. And that's the part that I think is almost gross to think about. He had all that damage with a knee brace. We could get on a whole conversation about neck braces as well. I mean, the energy is going to go somewhere, and eventually it has to stop. But knee braces, I think, have saved more knees than not. Now, I know there's some arguments about, does that change your body position? Again, pros and cons. I know it does keep the knee from hyperextending. You can put the settings on there, and I don't think anybody would argue that there's not a listener that would want a knee to be hyperextended and the damage associated with it. So knee braces do work, but they also come at a cost. And I'm not going to say the knee brace would have, well, we know because he's wearing a knee brace. Does anybody know what knee brace he does wear? Because I know.
I'm sorry, Coach. I'm so distracted by your hair. It looks like it's going in and out. It's like you're balding and unbalding. It's
hey,
awesome.
Check this out. You ever wonder what I look like bald? Look at that. There you go. There you go.
Dude, I went bald once because I bought 2 Kawasaki's, and because I was so nervous about the decision. I'm like, this is $18,000. I'm 17 years old, and I put it all on a credit card because that was the smart thing to do. And so I shaved my head thinking it was going to make things better. And instead I found all the craters on my head from all the times I've hit. And it was so bad. It was so bad. But Forkner, he pretty much like catapulted in front of the motorcycle. I don't know how he didn't hurt himself more, how it was like isolated to just the leg. Travis, what do you think about it? Protective equipment, yay or nay? Even neck braces fall in this category.
So, yeah, okay. So this is my stance on it. So I don't wear knee braces, and I never have. I have had an ACL surgery before on my left leg, and that was from a street bike accident. It wasn't from dirt bikes. And since I've gotten back on dirt bikes, I do have a brace for that, but I've never worn one. I don't like them. They're uncomfortable. I don't feel like I can grip the bike the same way as I can, like just with my knees. And I know a lot of people talk about tearing up their knees gripping the bike, but I've never had that issue. I don't know. I always agree with Coach of the fact of the energy's got to go somewhere. So if it doesn't screw up your knee, it's going to screw up your bones, your muscles somewhere else. So that energy is going to go somewhere. I think this situation is super weird because he was going in a straight line. Most of the time, we're taking corners and falling over, and that's causing it. So this is a super extreme case, and I'm not sure if it would have been better or worse without a knee brace on. So I don't know. I'm just kind of in the middle on this one. I just think this is Faulkner's luck. Like somewhere this kid did a voodoo thing or something, and it's backfiring on him. Like
It's
he has
the
no luck.
simulation.
Yeah, the Matrix
Cartman's
is
on the
pissed
other
at him.
end that's just going, okay, we're going to murder Faulkner, and this is how it's going to happen over and over again. I mean, that's a joke. I hope him the best, and as Buddha says, the only way out is through. Hopefully, he will become a better man because of this. Cooksey, I was wanting to skip you, but what's your thought on this?
God, you're a dick hopper. Anyway, so my thing is, okay, so you wear a helmet, right? You can still get a concussion. You wear a knee brace, you can still tear up a knee. You're right, it has to go somewhere. If you want to wear knee braces and they're comfortable, I think they're a good idea. If you wear a specific brace, some of the ones from the doctors that are designed to completely protect your knee and don't have a give, that's a bad idea. Like, I don't know if you remember when knee braces first came out, they were breaking femurs, which was horrible. Now, like you look at some of the knee braces, Pod, Asterisk, they have a certain pressure where they break. Now the way Faulkner hit, you're going to break something. It doesn't matter. Something's going to
femur
break.
breaks like a 3-month injury, though. Anything
What?
ACL wise, you're talking 6 months. So
no, you're crazy if you think a femur's a 3-month. 3 month. It can be a 3-month, but if that catches the artery, you're dead, dude. You really would risk that over a torn up knee.
Femur with the.
I've also watched a guy die at the track who broke his femur, Johnny. It's you don't want that. You just don't want that.
Do you wear knee braces?
I do, but I did not wear them until my knees were kind of
He's
bad.
so small they don't fit around. So
no,
look how small he is
a
on the
little
screen.
guy.
Oh my God.
But see, you've also got issues where you've heard that femur breaks have happened because of the knee brace.
Well,
It's like if you lock that hinge out, it can literally leverage it back the other direction. So no, I don't think
Coach, at that point, you're using the wrong knee brace. You need to make sure that knee brace has a breakaway zone that will break before your femur breaks. I've seen broken knee braces, and I've seen many people tear up their knee, but I've also seen people get knocked out with a helmet. It doesn't completely prevent it.
Yeah, I've had CTIs, I've had asterisks, I've had pods, and I've had it to where the knee braces literally rip the bottom of the cartilage off my femurs as opposed to twisting of anything. And that injury right there was 2 surgeries in 12 months, and I couldn't put any weight on my leg for almost a year. Like, it would have been better if I didn't have knee braces.
I just threw up in my mouth.
Well, and Johnny, there are situations where that happens. But so the one place if you have bad MCLs, the inner, that's the one that knee braces typically protect most. ACL, PCLs, for whatever reason, I talked to a couple knee brace guys, they don't help as much. And I don't know if there's just not a way to protect them or not. But if you have bad MCLs, wear a knee brace. If your MCLs are good, I'd say probably you're all right.
All right. Some of the guys in the chat are talking about maybe like, what do you think about just the support knee sleeves as what people use in the gym for squatting? Do you think that makes up some of the stability support? I mean, I'm a fan of knee braces for the sheer fact that they make the circumference of your knee wider. So it makes it easier to hold on to the bike, and you can actually squeeze the bike harder with less effort. That's really my main reason as to why I use knee braces, but I don't find that I have like a stronger stability unless I put on like a knee sleeve type deal.
Yeah. Any stabilization is going to help. It's not like you're recommending that they go to the gym and lift with knee braces, because if the body constantly is getting outside support, the body becomes lazy. So, if you go to the gym and you do functional movements where you're not relying on a stationary piece of equipment and you work that proprioceptive balance, absolutely, you're going to be strong. And then to your point, Johnny, get suited up. Look at the football players. Look at how much tape they have on them. I mean, they can move thousands of pounds on a ram rack. But then when it comes to taking those types of blows, that extra tape for that stability, I think those sleeves are a great idea. But we also run into that idea, you get a sleeve on there, then you get a knee brace on there, then you get your pants on there. And then to your point, you start to lose that sense of connection with the bike because you almost feel like you're bow-legged now. I mean, I'm obviously exaggerating. It's not that wide, but first time you've worn them, I don't know about you guys, but they feel like you're like borrowing somebody else's legs sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So what can we talk about the real reason Faulkner got hurt and the stupid track design?
Oh God, you're way off on this. I was listening to your show the other day.
I enjoyed the start. The start created entertainment.
The start was awesome.
Johnny. The start, okay.
I should have never showed you that, Johnny.
I know. There's some cool shit in there.
It didn't flow properly. How many did we see more bar tangling at this round than any other round?
But when you
Tell
say
me
on the
another
inside.
race there was that much bar tangling.
but when you say bar tangling, like what are you talking? Like you're talking about Faulkner leaning
Locking
into
bars. No, locking bars.
Off the gate. I mean, dude, he was leaning on Hampshire 5 feet off the gate. Like that didn't have anything to do with the split start. Or then if you go to
Travis, you're dead wrong. You're dead wrong. It's the way they flow. They didn't have that gap they normally have. Normally there's where the doghouse is, and you can allow it to spread out a little bit. The guys went straight out and they were forced to fight for real estate before they normally would, which caused bar tangling. Every race almost had bar tangling on that inside.
Yeah, but when we're talking the inside, we're talking the inside 10 gates. Like, is that what we're talking about? Because like, how would that be different than a normal start then? Because I didn't notice that.
Because where those whoops were was usually about 6 feet of track where the doghouse is, or like the way those whoops went out, that's what caused the problem. It changed the flow of the straightaway. We're talking just a few feet.
I'm with Cooksey on this. This is the track map of one of the playoff rounds, and this is the way a start should be with that on each side. Is they're both right at 90, and everything is completely perfect as far as the 180-degree corner. It's not off kiltered and it's pinching off weird. Like it's the same on both sides. This is the way a split start should be if they were going to implement something.
Yeah, but think about what a disadvantage you're going to be on that illustration you just had, Johnny. Think about the disadvantage you're going to be if as you're looking at the screen right where your mouse is at. What's the disadvantage of being on that side?
I mean, honestly, there doesn't look like there's a disadvantage because you're going to
go
here,
is.
and
sure
then you're going to go
left-hand
backwards,
brake,
and then
right-hand
here.
What do you lose on the right-hander? What do you lose on the right-hander that you get on the left-hander? Rear brake.
Talking about brakes.
Yeah. So that's again, this is where it makes it difficult with anything that's
why
split.
You have all the degrees, coach.
Well, but just think about it though, how frustrating it would be where you get a really good jump, and everybody knows we're going to use the lion's share of the front brake to shave the majority of the speed, but for that little bit of extra stability, just kind of trail braking that rear end and be able to get in and get out of there. The split starts, I think, just has more cons than they do pros. I mean, it's cool for spectators and stuff, but if I was a racer in my livelihood, I'd be frustrated with some of the. I think. So it's
you're
cool.
saying Barsh is going to start over here, and because he won't have to use his brakes, and he could just T-bone somebody and use them as a berm to get going. Okay.
There you go. Or I was going to add sarcasm, but I'm not as good as you are. Make that right hand turn just a huge bold turn where they just don't even have to hit the brakes, just go in it like a slingshot and come out of it.
Like that, or why don't you just have the start over here and then the other start over here, so they literally just have to go against each other.
It's just like you say, I can't imagine the difficulty of designing all these tracks and having so many different designs and having to work with stadium sizes. I mean, it's an incredible science.
It is, but it'd be so much easier if they just did 2 rows.
Think about
how much less track that they would have to use for the start, and they could use for the rest of the track.
I mean,
who do you put on the back row? Who do you put on the front row, Chris?
You put all the fast guys in the front row. If
you would qualify, put them on the front row.
Of course. They tried it when you didn't, and guys sandbag.
That's okay. You like UFC. I just thought you'd want them just like beat the snot out of each other to come through.
I would. I actually really would. If you could get guys to truly do it and you get like passing points and stuff, or if you started in the back, you get more points. I'm all for that, but you'll never do it. They tried it in the Rodeo Cup, and all the dudes, remember, they faked stalling their bikes and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they need to make, like, is this a Joker lane right here?
You're a joker, but I don't know what that is.
Well, because
it's just a split, Johnny.
I know it is just a split, but they should put more Joker lanes on the tracks because it's more entertainment. It's more entertainment because racing doesn't need to be as professional as it is. It needs to have a little bit more just sheer raw entertainment with having the fast guys. Like, okay, if I'm going to go with you, Cooksey, have them on the back row and have it literally be, what are you talking? Like a a hat toss where, okay, you pick a number and then you're on the front row, you're on the back row type deal, it would be more entertaining.
No, see, and that's where I do disagree. I was just saying that for fun, as far as putting the fast guys back there, make a pass. I really want all the fast guys in the front because I want the fast guys to battle each other. 1st through 10th is not much of a difference. And I don't want to see a slow guy get in there, cause a gap, and ruin the race. I want to see all the fast guys. I want to see my stars battling. I want to see Tomac, Roczen, and all those guys head to head.
Well, hey, Johnny, go back to that. That's not a Joker lane, but I'm wondering, are they making
it's not a Joker lane. It's just a
but here's the thing though. Lane. Look at the options. Who's going to opt to hit that over under jump? So that lane must be significantly shorter than the one where you could just rip underneath it.
Yeah, no. Truthfully, this line right here, just hauling ass, not having to jump over the tabletop, that's the line to do, is to go this direction. Because anytime,
but there's got to be an incentive.
It's going to be slower.
There's got to be an incentive. It's got to be like significantly shorter or something to get to even entice somebody to go that other route.
Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna work out unless, it's literally you can only take the fast line once, kind of a thing. I'm sincerely going Joker lanes should be involved in a couple of the races, just especially at the playoff rounds. I think it would be incredibly
What's the negative side? And I'd love to see what anybody in the chat room thinks. What's the negative side to a Joker lane?
Somebody misses it and then they ruin their entire.
It's confusing to watch because you don't know who's doing what. Do they have to take the Joker lane? You really need to stay.
Well, you have just an overlay of like a check mark. He's taking it. He's taking it. He's taking it.
To the live audience, you're supposed to do that.
I mean,
I'm just saying, I'm playing devil's advocate. I like the Joker lane, but I don't like it all the time. I like to see it once in a while at special events. I don't think it should be part of the regular season. And then if you have the Joker lane that's too fast, everybody takes it on the first lap because they want to get out front. And so it kind of ruined the Joker lane. The one year they made it faster. So it has to be slower. But yeah, I don't know. Hey, shout out to Cheyenne Harmon. He's in the chat room. Arena cross guy who just had a bad wipeout and actually fractured his knee plateau. So,
ouch.
Yeah.
A lot of that going around.
Oh shit. See, arena cross is, it's one of those things where it's just, I don't know how these guys, I guess we'll switch real quick. This was like a bonus question that we were talking about is, since the Supercross is canceled this weekend, a bunch of the guys are going over to arena cross, and the incentive is it's $5,000 to win. And pretty much anybody on that's can qualify for a 250 main event can win an arena cross and make more money because you're only going to make about $1,300 for qualifying for the main event in a Supercross. So they could literally quadruple their money, but at the expense of potentially their health, because the tracks are easier. Therefore, the riders are going to take each other out. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on this? It's honestly better for arena cross, but let's go, Travis. Travis, what do you think?
Really depends what your financial situation is. I was getting texts this morning asking if Moran's was going over there. And I was like, I don't think so, because he is financially, it's more lucrative for him to go race Supercross and do like, say, 19th, 20th in a main event than for him to go do this arena cross, get hurt and be out. So,
I mean, well, he's a 450 guy too,
Yeah.
The
but
purse is like double.
I heard like Clayson and them. Clayson is for sure going. That was confirmed like this morning. So I don't know if it's just 250 guys that are going over there, to be honest with you. But like I said, I think it's all how lucrative your deals are for racing Supercross if you're one of those guys that's like,
all right, so Travis beat around the bush. He's fighting in the middle, saying could be, could not be.
I'm just trying to act like liberal, like yeah.
Like, hey, we got a liberal on the show,
Cooksey.
Johnny.
Yeah, I'm trying to act liberal like Cooksey over there.
I'm no liberal.
What I find very interesting is the prize purse is better at arena cross than it is for a super duper deep risk race.
We have a winner.
That to me is just astounding. Hats off to the promoters of the arena cross that put together a financial budget, because they obviously found a way to, whether it's through a combination of sponsorship, ticket sales, TV royalties, whatever it may be. But isn't it interesting that a quote unquote small series is able to put up more money Very, very
Ah,
nice.
Harmon,
Hey, guys, hold on.
he's
Which
saying that an
series?
arena cross guy is going to
I
win.
was just about to point that out. That's so funny. He thinks an arena cross guy will smoke the supercross guys. And if you guys remember when Damon Bradshaw
no,
went arena cross,
I think he's accurate on
he's
that.
onto something. It's a completely different sport.
I mean, you put two teeth higher sprocket on and you go try to bang bars with these guys that have been doing it a while, and they come in with a different mojo of going, hey, you might be a supercross guy, but this is my realm and you've stepped into my cage, and therefore I'm just gonna, use you as toilet paper, wipe my ass with you, and here we go, get demonetized for
Which
the
series-
liberal stuff.
Easy with your butt wax there, Johnny.
Yeah.
Which
Hey,
series?
make a good
Which series
sponsor.
is it?
Dude,
Which
how many
series-
times do you get like rashes
the
on your
AMA
ass
one,
from
the one-
riding? And
Okay. The like TV one for this year or whatever.
It's
Correct.
technically the official one. I guess if you count the AMA as the official one, it's got some new owners though. They took over this year.
Yeah.
And they're doing a really good job. Their whole idea is they're kind of former racer guys that just appreciate it. I had a good talk with, I believe it was Jack from the series. And I really think they're going to kind of bring back those glory days of arena cross. I'm glad this is actually really cool for them to get the opportunity to kind of have the spotlight while Supercross is going and everybody's going to be looking for something. So yeah, Clayson,
it's
I've
awesome.
heard the whole,
And
I've
it
heard,
should be more of a stepping stone for, arena cross should really be the B team for Supercross.
but it,
One
but
hundred
like,
percent
like the
agree.
college ball.
but like Cheyenne said, it's a different sport, Johnny. And before you cut me off, I was about to say Team AGE should be heading up there too.
For Arizona, they should be.
Yeah.
I
I believe
Oh.
they are. Cooksey Mobs, Zach Schlater, what up?
I know. We
I
could delete
think
those
it's
comments.
important. It would be nice if, I don't know, one of you guys can probably answer the question, but when it was the road to Supercross, was it not the same arena cross series that you had to go and punch your points to be eligible to get a Supercross license?
Yeah, and the rules were all they had to change it up because you just had to make the night show, and then guys were literally, because of how dangerous it is to in the night show, you're always getting taken out by somebody, somebody pinning it through the whoops and then just going on the inside of you and making you run into a wall.
Then you had guys like Stank Dog threatening these rookies, don't fuck up my series or I'm gonna break your leg. Seriously, that
Yeah,
actually
Let me ask you this,
all the
though.
above,
Let me
but
ask
guys
you
were not
this.
finishing. They weren't racing. They were just qualifying, and then they were taking it out. And then the rules changed that you had to make a certain amount of points, which it would take like 2 arena crosses if you were to win. And that's like, I believe, where Faulkner and Lawrence got their Supercross points for being able to do it. And now you're doing
what's
the
got a
Supercross
steeper
Futures
learning
for
curve?
points.
What has a steeper learning curve, going from Loretta's and going straight into Supercross, or going Loretta's into arena cross and then making your way over to Supercross? See, that's the problem. Is like the last couple of years, I've had people that have hit me up and they're very frustrated because they're like, how do I get my Supercross card? Well, you got to go qualify at an outdoor national. What? I to get my eligibility, I got to go race a completely different style of racing to get a pro Supercross card. We're back to that. There is no definitive, how is somebody supposed to go and make their way into, Supercross, we all know, is extremely dangerous. It's extremely difficult. It's great to watch. But how many people have we seen getting hurt literally their first or second time going out on a Supercross track? I know when I spent time in California, you have guys very first time they're at a Supercross track overjump something and break something.
Well, to answer part of your question, because I'm just interrupting Cooksey because he looked like his mouth was opening. So I figured I need to just say something real quick here.
What a dick.
Is that Jet Lawrence and Austin Faulkner, when they showed up, they were on their factory bikes for arena cross and they got their ass kicked the first couple races. They had like a learning curve because you've got the big dogs that are the mature guys that were sort of pushing them around, and they wanted them to earn their keep. And after a race or two, then they ended up winning the races, but they had a little bit of a learning curve. And I think it really did help. Perfectly honest, the whoops are massive. You still have the gnarly ruts going in there, and it happens really, really quickly. to where a Supercross Futures race, yeah, the track might not be as cut down, but it is more of a level playing field than you have a factory bike on a full-blown Supercross track for these amateurs in Loretta versus just a full-blown privateer. Privateer can still manage to race with those guys and hold them up because the track is so tight.
Does anybody know?
Cheyenne, just real quick, Travis, Cheyenne,
Yeah.
if you could put it in the chat room, do you think that the road to Supercross was a good or a bad thing based on your personal experience? Because you've got the accolades of being the first graduate to come out of road of Supercross. What's your thoughts? Go ahead, Trav.
Did they have qualifiers for Supercross Futures again this year? Or is it just like if you're an A kid, you can sign up now? Because like last year I know they had the qualifiers at like WW and stuff like that. So does anybody know, were there qualifiers this year?
I don't know. Truthfully, I don't want to sit here and act like I know something. I mean, that is a great question. I need to jot that down, and maybe somebody in the chat room that is racing the amateurs might be able to give us some insight on that. I would assume that if you wanted to, you could just sign up for the Supercross Futures because they're not gonna not take your money. And if you get picked, then sweet. You know, they can only take a certain number of entries. But if you're going for your pro license, I wouldn't see why you couldn't race A.
I got a question for Cooksey too. So Cooksey, I know you and Brian Deegan are like best friends. Are we going to see Hayden on East Coast, or is he just blowing smoke up everybody's ass at this point?
I think he's blowing smoke, but if you see one of those guys get hurt, I think they'll put him in. But if those guys are healthy, I don't think you'll see him this year.
Who's the East Coast guys for Star?
Jordan Smith, which easily could. I mean, he doesn't have a real good history.
So we will see Deegan on the East Coast. No problem, man.
Wasn't he just planning on doing motocross? Is he now thinking of doing potentially a couple races on the East Coast?
The rumor is a lot of the times out at the Goat Farm, he's the fastest guy on the Supercross track. So they're like, do we wait or do we take this guy who could probably win right now and put him in?
It's honestly not a surprise.
That's the rumor.
If we're talking about the Star guys, it was actually the Club MX guys that were putting it to the factory Yamaha guys, even though that they were on those cheater Star bikes. Interesting that guys.
Let me cut you off, Johnny. We have a real racer that responded here. Cheyenne Harmon said it really helped racing with the top guys in front of a big crowd before, for TV. He said it definitely did help to get him ready for Supercross. So sorry to cut you off, Johnny.
I appreciate the comment.
We had somebody important.
And now if you could say something ridiculous about Cooksey, that'd be helpful too, man.
No, Cheyenne's my guy. In fact, we got to get him a link. He should be our guest next week. So.
But that right there just validates that when there was a little bit of organization and a little bit of an infrastructure, here we have somebody who reaped the benefit of it in his own words, getting acclimated to being on TV, being interviewed, big crowds. We forget, as a racer, there needs to be elements that, like you say, you don't want to have everybody getting taken out in every corner. But in regards to getting these guys
too, to a certain point,
that is good.
I mean,
yeah.
Most people aren't just hardcore fans. They want to see a little bit rubbing racing. And I believe everybody in the chat room can still remember when Bowers was going for a championship and getting taken out and the motor's blowing up and, to win the last race here. I think Arena Cross is incredibly exciting for that. The Dash for Cash, that's more of where it's a little bit more of a show, right? Where you get to Supercross and the factory bikes with factory parts and everything, they start being 2, 3, 4 seconds a lap faster than everybody. And it's not so much a show anymore. So do you guys think that the Club MX guys are going to beat the factory Yamaha 250 guys with Styles, and you've got Kitchen over there versus Enzo Lopes and Nicoletti?
That's a hard no, Johnny. It was awesome that they did it the first week. I really love the Club MX guys. I think what they got going over there with that club life and how they're showing you, they're really pulling the curtain back. They're not editing much. I mean, they're showing some stuff like they showed you what Brandon had as advice for Enzo before the main event. And I personally didn't like it, but I love the fact that they showed it. It almost looked like it took the fire from Enzo after he had that great heat race. But you got to remember, Styles, that was a victory for him just to continue the race. He had a big one in practice.
Do you see how far he came back, Chris? He was buried on the opening lap of that main event. He had a hell of a main event. He really did.
He did. And those guys, I mean, him and Kitchen, they're guys that I honestly, I think they'll be up there battling for podiums and possibly wins if Jet makes any mistakes.
Well, I think you've got a pissed off Styles Robertson, and that's a lethal combination. He did not have the race he wanted there. So now we say it all the time. All you need is an athlete to go down in the first turn and they get up and ride to their fullest potential because they're so irritated. I think that's what you're going to see with Styles on this next, when we go back racing.
All right. Okay.
And he gets the extra week to heal up.
Yep, exactly.
Do you guys believe that Star Yamaha is potentially turning into the Mitch Payton of pro circuit, to where if you can't make it on that team, you're probably not going
No,
to
they're not turning into it, Johnny. They've been in it for the last 3 years.
I know, but are they going to be as hard where like Mitch?
No, you're absolutely right. If you fail on a Star Yamaha, you probably won't get another opportunity.
Well, let's take that question further, Johnny. Who's been let go from Star and gone to another team?
I mean, truthfully, the only guy that I can think of right now, he's on a Husky on the 450, Craig, is because I think he might have had a 250 deal with them, but if I'm just thinking off the top of my head, going with Husky.
He even needed a 450 thing. He went to Husky because that was the best 450 option that was out there. Plus he could do his own gear deal and everything else. So there's a lot of meat on the bone there for Christian. He would have been silly to stay at Yamaha.
All right, well,
hold on. We got
let me rephrase that.
NV213 saying get rid of me. Come on, bro. I'm not liberal.
I know, dude. Honestly, Cooksey, that was a comment that I had to actually unhide because YouTube, they were going, "Oh, this is too insensitive." So they were hiding it. So I actually had to go in there and be like, "Oh, hell yeah, okay." So unhide that so Cooksey can see it.
You're such a dick, Johnny. I'm not a liberal. So thanks for convincing everyone I'm a liberal.
No, I appreciate Reese in there just clarified.
How could a liberal be what he says, that he wants to have an unfair advantage to all the pros by having them line up on the front? A true liberal would say, no, they need to start in the back row. Shit, now I'm kind of convincing people that
you're a liberal, Johnny.
We'll move on. We'll move on with this one.
Hey,
Johnny,
Webb,
look right here. You've got
Webb.
Reese saying that Webb went. Colt Nichols had to go because he had pointed out and they had no place for him on a 450.
Nobody on a 250. So Webb was on
that's what I'm saying, the 250.
Yeah. Well, Webb
who on the
wants to go
250?
back.
No, it's pretty much, you can guarantee Webb's going to do everything he can to be on a Yamaha next year. But the idea that, to your point, Yamaha is that new PC team where if you can't make it at Star, nobody is going to be of any interest to you. You're not going to get a pay raise. Nobody's going to poach you off of Yamaha. Let's put it that way. Or we haven't seen it if it's possible.
True.
If you look at anything,
Yamaha,
Yamaha,
that Deegan is racing the arena cross tonight. I don't think that's probably going to happen either.
I think that would have got out already if he had showed up there. That would be awesome. I would be so happy, but no, I don't think so.
Yeah, because they're literally racing tonight, and so practice should already be going on right now. Okay, speaking of the mud, because we've got some comments in there as far as Carmichael kicking everybody's ass, lapping everybody. We know that Steve Mathis says that it was a public safety issue why they canceled the race, and then I kind of am on the line of that, maybe a little bit of both, but more so because of money. If nobody shows up to the race, you're losing money. What do you guys think on what really was the cause of canceling this race? Travis, go with you.
Lime. There's
Heck
lime.
yeah.
There's lime.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
They had the monster trucks. Paul Parabinos, I got to give him credit because I was listening to something with him the other day. He said that they had the monster trucks last weekend. There's already lime in the dirt. It's supposed to rain. We all know San Diego, what was it, 2 years ago with Limegate. And when you splash the water, the lime gets all over you, destroys bikes, destroys people. That comes down to what it was. Because I don't think they pay anything for that stadium to rent it, to be really honest with you. So anything they get in there is profit, which people would still show up in the rain.
Wouldn't you think that the monster truck guys would be bitching and moaning about destroying their $100,000 vehicles if there was lime in there?
But there wasn't mud.
Hey guys, Feld Motorsports owns those trucks. They do whatever the hell they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Feld doesn't own the bikes.
But the problem with lime is it's fine until you get it in a puddle or a wet. It's not activated. Once it's wet, it's activated. Then we got problems.
Now, look, my conspiracy theory is that KTM Group doesn't make jet skis, so they were complaining about it and didn't want to have a race on jet skis. But that's just a conspiracy theory from me. So, whatever.
Well, moving with that narrative, do you think because of social media because that lime has been around for a while, do you think that they could have kept that hidden? And if it was to damage the motorcycles in previous rounds, we're talking a decade ago, they could put it under wraps and not have it get out in media. But now when you have all these privateers that have strong social media platforms and riders that are speaking out a little bit more, that was a considerable factor for canceling it because they didn't want the shit show that was going to be a PR nightmare again.
It would absolutely have to be, because kind of like what Sleep Outside said, that they were afraid that the spectators wouldn't show up. Think about when we raced without COVID. Where's the money at? It's not really in just the seats. It's in those TV deals. So the fact that they would be willing to give up that, they made money, maybe not a lot, but they made money during COVID. So they're going to get their revenue with TV and all that goes with it. It's the lime, and like you said, Johnny, in your live show yesterday, it's the insinuating lawsuits that are just hanging around the corner if they were to go racing in those conditions. Especially if you know anything about lawsuits, if you've got a pre-existing scenario and you know that potential is there, that's going to show incredible negligence. So it's got to be the line.
How much did they pay out last time to the privateer guys just to make them shut the hell up after they got burned from the lime in San Diego?
Not much.
Well, it wasn't even enough to cover their bikes either.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you have that, and then now, like Coach said, you do it again. Now you have lawsuits and real lawsuits.
Now it shows intent rather than just a bad idea. But I also think a big factor in this also is the fact that there was an open date on February 18th. If they check, the stadium's available, we can get full pop. It just makes sense. It's just easy. You can roll that over. You're not going to lose the TV money because you're going to pick it up on the off weekend. You're going to pick up the tickets in the off weekend. So you actually save money by rescheduling it.
Yeah, Coach, I like what you said as far as you get more viewers on the Peacock and TV packages, because we've got a lot of comments going that nobody would show up to the race. And, essentially by what you're saying is they don't need to sell out as much tickets because of the money that's already guaranteed to come in. And I guess there's another factor, or I would say an excuse, is that people are saying that the dirt was already in the stadium being rained on. So it's hard to pack mud because it's you have to have a right consistency of dry dirt to wet dirt to actually get it to pack. If it's just sheer cake mix, you're not going to be able to pack it at all. But coming as a fan, a mud race would have been fun to watch. And I think we're all in agreement.
They started building the track. Do you follow Corey 100 on
yeah, no,
on
he
Instagram?
Does a really good job.
I was going to say, he had videos. They had built jumps like that. They were taming it down. It was going to be mostly like 3-footers and like very easy rolly kind of bigger triples, I guess. But I mean, he had videos. They had started building from what I saw, unless I was looking at something wrong, which could be, but
that's a good point too, that they could have been getting ahead of it as far as PR goes by saying, hey, here's an excuse. And like I said, there's other people that are saying that it's a public safety deal, but it sounds like we are in the agreement that it's a little bit more than that. It's got more of a, hey, I need to protect my own pocket with money, with lawsuits and everything.
And the teams, they had a call with all the managers the other day.
Yeah,
Travis nailed it.
And I know that was a thing because a rider told me that there was a call going on at the time I was talking to him with all the managers talking about it. And then miraculously, like 2 hours later, the race is canceled. So
see, this is the whole riders union. And
the OEMs got together and said, no, that was it.
If the teams aren't going to go up, then then coach, exactly. If the teams say that, hey, we're not racing because we can't financially build these bikes again, then what is going to suffer? The TV package is then going to suffer because people aren't going to show up if they find out that, hey, 3 of the factory teams aren't racing anymore. They don't want to see 10 guys on the line. It's just going to be silly. They want to see the 22 full gate.
Well, and the part that the people that get hurt the most are the privateers because, with the factory guys, it's so important that they put the race back on the calendar because if you look at bonuses and you look at the way that the sponsor packages are put together, I do find it awfully interesting who keeps kind of broadcasting that it's a safety issue. Just follow the money. And I think you've got a pretty good idea of why that's the narrative that keeps getting pushed so aggressively. But if you're a privateer, I live in Florida. So if somebody that's from the East Coast is already out there, they just lost an opportunity to make money, and they still have all their hard expenses. Where, like Trav said, for the OEMs, they just decided they weren't going to do the race because, yes, we understand it's going to wear and tear on stuff, but they're still getting salaries. Their bonuses and stuff are going to be made up at another round, where a privateer has the cost of being out there this week with a canceled race, and now the added cost of another race getting put in on an off weekend. You can't tell me that they balance each other out. They simply don't.
Well, think about the travel for those privateers. You're now going Tampa to Oakland and then back to Dallas. I think back to Dallas after that. Like, that is a huge expense there. You're going across the country essentially.
Yep.
Very
but remember,
true.
the series was put together for the benefit of the growth of the sport. That's why this series was combined.
The series is put together for the growth of the circus promoter that runs it and his evil sidekick, Carrie.
Well, the part that I couldn't understand is they were interviewing a couple of the decision makers on both sides. And I thought it was interesting that the entire discussion was about that this is what the fans have been asking for, is a longer series. And yes, we all like to go racing, but none of us wants to see the attrition rate be so high. And it's a little bit disheartening, because can you imagine if we had take something that's a little bit more popular, like maybe look at something like football, right? Can you imagine the Super Bowl ends up being a Super Bowl of two teams that has 40% attrition rate of the two teams? Let's say that you were able to allocate who the two finishing teams were going to be in the Super Bowl, and you're going to have them play 31 weeks of games in the hopes and the anticipation that at the Super Bowl game, who you wanted to come see play is still going to be healthy enough to show up for Super Bowl. That's the Russian roulette they're playing. And the two spokesmen for both sides are saying, but this is what the fans want. This is what the fans want. No, what the fans want is deep, bar-to-bar, good competition. And we already have listened to these guys. All three of you have already talked about it on your separate shows. Why are we not seeing the guys at the end of the year that are big, heavy hitters wanting to go to destinations? It's not because they're unpatriotic. They're freaking exhausted. So how do we fix it? We had 4 more rounds. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, this week off definitely helps them. I do have to say, I'm sorry to Cooksey, because
are you not getting enough attention, Johnny? Do you need to do something?
No, dude, this is going with the narrative here. Just deal with the stash, okay? I can't.
Josh Greco is way better than you with the stash. So.
Oh my god!
But
I can't deal with this. This is incredible.
He almost this might be better than
so
Mookie almost effed won the race, and I was on here at the last shit show, and I was going, dude, there's no way that's going to happen. And during it was happening, you were freaking texting me going, see, Johnny, this is what happened. And I was having to tell you to shut the hell up because something's going to happen. And then ironically, something did happen, and I felt like a dick again. But damn,
How do you hate Malcolm
have to
so
give
bad?
you props that Mookie almost won. Do you guys think that this was negatively going to affect him moving forward with, hey, he almost got super close, but yet again, it was taken from him, sort of like the whole Faulkner deal? Or is this something that he could build off of, and we're going to see him be up front here in a week?
He's going to win one. He's going to win one. Absolutely. No, and this is a good thing.
Dude, this is live and time-stamped. So
that's fine. He's going to get
what
one.
stands for?
At least
frustrated, irritated,
Could
nervous,
you shut up,
emotional.
Johnny, so I can talk? Like, you call on me and then you start talking. What are you doing?
I know, because I had to interrupt you for the.
James Stewart supports this message that Cooksey's putting out here, so let him talk.
Okay, all right, go.
He's going to win at least one round, but this year I think he's done with that whole like, let's get some podiums, let's get some conservative. His brother has even talked about how he wants him to get that first win and get it out of the way. So that's why I picked him low in the points, but I do think he's going to be up there and going for it. And I just hope that he's healthy enough, because that looked really bad. Did you guys hear? Did he miss a gear, or did the bike cut out? Do you guys know?
Nothing. Husky released saying that he crashed. They didn't say anything.
There's no
wonderful.
Nope. If you look at Johnny's video and you look at it in slow motion, his feet are on the pegs when he jumps on, and then the bike just nosedives.
He lost power. My question is, did he hit neutral or did it bog?
No,
yeah, that's the deal. Like, I mean, on my video, I literally said 3 things happened. He was either lack of focus because he was going backwards. 2, it was a fuel pump, something bogged out, or 3, he missed a shift, because in a section like that, you're probably going second gear on, off, shift to third, to then triple quad coming out. So
but if you look at his boots on the pegs, there's no way it was a false neutral. There's no way he hit neutral because his left foot never moved on the peg.
But you don't think that there's a possibility a rock kicked up or the mud from those deep ruts, Coach?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean,
and aliens exist.
Johnny, Jesus.
I'm
embarrassed for you, Johnny. I'm embarrassed you, liberal.
Lever.
If you look at the parallels between what Johnny was showing, where Reed's bike just like stops, like it doesn't have any more moving forward momentum. It's just like something hit the e-brake. If you look at that angle that they showed Mookie on the left side of the bike, he jumps on, and then it's just like it just completely stops. It was like he hit an e-brake.
No, I agree with you. Definitely, no matter what, somehow it lost power. We're just debating on how it lost power. But
Coach,
I
need you to text
he thinks aliens
Justin
came up, bit him in
false
the
neutral.
ass, and shifted form and hit false neutral, and then gave him the finger as he was flying over the bars. That's what Cooksey believes.
Wait. Run that by me one more time.
Say that again, Johnny.
That thing. Yeah, go for that.
So Travis, you're in agreement with aliens?
No. Run that whole thing back again. What did you say?
I mean, we don't have to repeat that. Everybody knows what I was saying. It was actually cookies. Cooksey's analogy. You know, the chef is in the kitchen and he's cooking up
now we know your pet name for him now, so that's cute.
Oh God. All right. So with that, do you guys are in agreements? You think he's going to get on the podium or win a race, Travis?
Podium, yes. The race winning, I don't know. I'm out on that. I was real hard that he was going to win one last year, and then he didn't. So I don't know. I'm half leaning that diet that he's on over there isn't conducive for someone of his body stature. But what do I know? That's a coach question there.
That's
for
the whole
that
thing.
side
Is
of
Webb and Mookie are riding really well.
Oh, come on! I'm one race. After the year that they both had last year, they have one race, and it's all Alden is the guy that's fixing this. That's the funniest thing I've heard all year.
I think I struck a nerve with you. Coach.
No, I think it's funny because when Mookie went over there, everybody's like, yeah, this program's going to whip him into shape. He's going to be a vicious monster, blah, blah, blah. He's no smaller than he was 2 years ago.
Do you remember how much abuse I took for saying that, Coach? People.
Yes, I do. That's why I'm bringing it up. 100%.
One guy actually called me racist. I'm like, are you serious?
Hey, Zach says it's Cookie Bob now.
Can't be racist. You're a liberal.
Oh,
you cannot forget.
See, Mark says it too.
Hey, I've heard every variation with the name Cooksey. I've heard every variation of cookie, and I love it. I actually like cookies. They're good.
I mean, dude, think of Hopper, man.
You cannot forget what Malcolm Stewart's last name is. And he's not going to do things that he doesn't want to do. I don't care what you think. You know, Chris and I got smoked last year when we said, you guys can go back and pull the record, but I said I didn't think Mookie was going to race outdoors last year. And everyone's like, you're an idiot. He's contracted. He's obligated. How many races did he end up doing last year? And what do you think the contract says?
They went as far as to call us racist for that. I'm like, are you
serious? Well, yeah, but
I love Malcolm.
It's the same 100 people that are sitting in their parents' basement that are, all the keyboard warriors. But to our point, Malcolm to race outdoors, he's not interested in racing outdoors. He ended up doing the 2 or 3 that he did because contract obligations and docking of pay and all the numbers that go into a contract. However, what I think is so interesting is it's the bike that has changed so much on both of those, and they both had great races, but we're talking the very first round. Momentum, again, I have to take this from Jeff Emig. He said it the best. He would much rather have momentum than a points lead. And you give Mookie a podium, then you give Mookie sniff of the top. and you get that momentum shift, you're going to be hard pressed to hold Mookie down. It's going to be hard to beat.
Sorry, Johnny's talking crap to me while you're trying to talk, Coach. Johnny, Jesus.
Can we just talk about KP 200539? Mookie wins Daytona? Absolutely not.
I can see that. I think he should have won it last year.
Can't say no, Travis, because
absolutely not.
Cooksey with the alien prediction, he was pretty close about him almost winning A1.
Hold on, last year.
Minutes. First off, how are you going to bet against Tomac winning Daytona? He's won it 1,000 times.
Who was the one guy that was faster than him last year, except for he got into it with Anderson and just lost his mind? Malcolm was going to win Daytona. I stand by that. Had he not lost his mind and went after Anderson that was stupid. He did give one away.
Nah, he's not.
Cooksey, have you ever heard of this theory called the multiverse?
There's a movie. It's called Doctor Strange. You should watch it. It's pretty good.
Wrong podcast, Johnny.
I'm just saying. He did win Daytona in the alternative reality that
double slit theory, blah, blah, blah. Shut up, Johnny. Everything happens in some sort of a dimension.
If we get a momentum,
I'm in on that stuff.
We get a momentum shift. 2 weeks ago, we were all saying Anderson coming off of the great year that he had last year. We hadn't even talked about Anderson. He didn't have a great race. Christian Craig wads himself up in practice. We're not even talked about Christian Craig. This top 5 could get turned completely upside down after what we saw at A1.
Well, yeah, you won't see Roxon muck up. He won't be in there very often. So.
Oh God, here we go.
He just won't. Even though he gets factory parts, Johnny.
We're going to start hating on Kickstart Kenny here.
No, I'm not hating on him. He did a great job riding a 2007 RMZ. So.
Yeah, with progressive shrouds, where the other riders did not have the progressive on the shrouds. Like the only one that's really being sponsored by Progressive is Kickstart Kenny.
It's because he has Red Bull and not Twisted Tea, and that's why he has Progressive, Johnny, because they had to do something different to bring in the money. And you can't have Twisted Tea.
Yes, but do you think that it's not out of the realm of possibilities that the majority of the money is being funneled to just Kenny? And that's one of the reasons why I didn't go with Club MX is because they were spread too thin. He's
the number one guy, but you can bet your ass they're all on the same parts. There's no factory parts. Suzuki doesn't have any factory parts left.
It's a hypothetical quotations with stuff as far as if you're going to spend more money to give somebody a better bike, who would it be? It would be Kenny. That's my whole point in that.
I agree with you, but if you think he's getting anything that McElrath doesn't have, you're crazy.
Potentially now, but
potentially an asteroid could hit tomorrow, Johnny.
Sorry, say that again?
Potentially Oakland could be canceled. Potentially anything, bro.
Yeah, the whole multiverse, so in my alternate dimensional universe, with my perspective says that, Kenny could be getting abnormal advantages over the other teammates as far as special treatment, favoritism.
Where would he be getting those special parts from?
Yeah, that's my point.
Well, Suzuki's got to develop new parts before he could give factory parts to Kenny.
But they haven't been producing anything for 5, 6, 7 years.
Correct. And this is why Suzuki's
in all seriousness, unless they're getting something from Mitch Payton, I don't know who would be putting together something that would give him those premium parts. I don't think it exists.
Now, if you want to say Jamie from Twisted Development, who's doing their motors, spends a little bit more time with Roxon than with Shane, probably. But once it's done, it's dialed in, he gives it to Shane too.
That's under my definition of the whole factory parts. I'm just using it as a header to get a conversation started that there is favoritism going on in the team for Kenny.
So 2 totally separate things at the same, Johnny.
No, it's
women men and men women? Are you a liberal?
You're taking things out of context.
Look, how long before we see a different suspension company on his bike? That's the big question.
Whenever he wants it. That's what's great about having a team.
I mean, his suspension did look pretty wonky.
Are we going 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 5 rounds? Where are we going here? Because he's not running the same stuff he ran in 16, right? Or in 16?
Who knows?
He's probably going to stick with the same stuff, but it's going to get progressively better, is what I would say.
Is there any pun intended in that, Johnny?
I know.
pun as far as once he starts getting more factory
No,
parts.
he totally missed it, Coach. The
Yeah, he
progressive.
did too.
Is his suspension going to get
Oh,
progressively
Oh,
better?
Coach.
Jeez.
Can I give you these, dude?
Johnny, is anyone
We can
home?
just be
Hello,
sitting there
Johnny.
dropping
Johnny,
the hammer, man.
Johnny, we're in a
That's awesome.
conversation here. I don't know where you're at.
I'm over there going, huh?
You're
What
too
the-
busy with your
I don't get it. I don't get
effects.
it. It went over my head. I can't
Yeah,
multitask. I was reading the comments and then
Well, you have to agree with the comments. Webb, again, momentum is an incredible thing. And if he really does like the bike as much as he showed, and if he can put it back to back, that's what I'm saying. We look at these, we're stopping. You look at Anderson, you look at Christian Craig. I mean, even Sexton for that matter, if he goes out there and gets, and can you imagine if all of a sudden Sexton and Tomac start to latch onto each other like they did outdoors? I mean, we know the first race, it's all about getting the jitters out. It's shaking everything down. Everybody gets to do their peacocking up to say, okay, we were fast at the practice track, but how fast are we now when the gate's full? Now the musical chairs and the shifting, it's going to be interesting these next 2 rounds.
So would you guys put Kenny as an underdog or do you see him as a championship contender?
Underdog.
Travis?
Yeah, no, I'm underdog situation too. Yep.
Are you serious? You got to ask me that at this point?
Yes, because
think-
I'm the
I
only
think-
guy that thinks that he's a championship contender.
How many rounds do you go before you think he's no longer a contender? Seriously, like how long do you think before you go, okay, yep, he's just not going to be in that top 5 6 months from now?
Literally,
Hey, by the way, think about that. We're talking about a series that's going to be 10 months long.
well, I still think that he's only going to do Supercross only. I don't think he's going to do motocross because he's
Do you
going to
think-
defend his championship at the World Supercross stuff. And
Okay,
to
that was
answer your
my question.
question, Coach, I think it's going to be 4 rounds. 4 rounds, I'll switch my tune on it because usually as the longevity of stuff go on, history has a way of repeating itself with Kenny, and he's going to fade away. So,
yeah,
people are saying that he's an underdog too in the chat.
We're going to see a spike here in Kenny because he had less time to develop stuff.
But he had plenty of time. He just didn't use it correctly. He had the same amount of time as everyone else.
What do you mean?
On
he
the
had the same
Suzuki?
amount
Are
of
you
time?
kidding?
Yeah, like
He could have judged. He could have picked the Suzuki 4 months before. That's on him.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, and again, please somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and I could have bought Bitcoin in 2009, but I didn't.
But wasn't kind of, I don't know where I saw or read it or maybe even heard it, that he knew he was going to go to Suzuki, but that he was kind of enjoying the kind of the hype he was creating in the off season, going and testing all the bikes. But that when he was on that Suzuki, he knew that's where he wanted to go.
I don't know. I've heard now that he really was going to re-sign with the Honda team, and then like not the HRC, but the other Honda team there, Reeves. And then he went and rode the Suzuki. Yeah, and they went and rode the Suzuki, and it just blew him away apparently. So I don't know.
The extra weight of that Kickstarter, man.
Well, but did the Suzuki blow him away, or did the found money that Progressive was willing to step up blow him away?
Bingo.
That's more. Yep.
Well, and if you guys notice, go back when you watch those when he rode at Club MX, the track was beat up. When he rode at Hep Suzuki, that track was perfect. I mean, it was so of course the bike feels good on that track.
Well, how many guys felt like their bike? Let's take Jason Anderson. I bet you he felt his bike was good, and he probably doesn't feel so good about it after A1. Like you say, it's not a track that he rode every day. And of course, he had an off day. Nobody's discounting that, and he smashed his head pretty good. He took a pretty.
I
big
thought he
digger.
rode great. He was getting around in the main event. He was coming through the pack. He got a shitty start because of the effed up design that's how it was. Just because the track was on paper, looked better than it actually was built is one thing. But he was coming through the pack, and then he ended up not running into Kenny. If he would have ran into Kenny, he probably would have kept it on 2 wheels, and we could have seen him on the podium. I think he rode great. I think
he rode well as well. But to Chris's point, when you ride the same track every day, or you go one that's perfectly fresh and polished, of course you're going to feel good. It's when that track fades away and you're making those adjustments in between the main event, and you're like, okay, did we go the right direction? How many times have you heard them after the race? Well, we took a chance and we went the wrong direction, and the results show it. Okay. well, that's only round one. Like you're saying, point, Johnny, give us 4 or 5 rounds and let's see who's starting to really feel like they're gelling with their bike and their setup.
I saw this in the chat a little bit too, as far as the difference of this whole super duper motocross, supercross stuff. We've got riders that are only doing half the series, but yet I believe the rules state that if you win a race, you already qualify for the playoffs, which I believe Tomac already qualified. But then you've got Ricky Carmichael and Duffy and everybody promoting this unification of the series. However, they could get away with, it's a loophole that they could just ride half the series and then come back for the big money races. How do you guys feel about the unification of motocross and supercross?
Well, I thought as many times as we heard about it in the broadcast, it's kind of like when you listen to the news and if you take 6 news stations and they all say the same common line through, unification, we're coming together, unification, we're all together, we're trying to grow. It was like so over the top. It was shoved down your throat so many times. How naive do these people think we are that you can listen to them say, it's the best thing in the sport. This is what the sport's always needed. We've always wanted this. It's like every person that got on the camera, that's the first thing that came out of their mouth. When Diffie interviewed Tomac, that's all that came out of his mouth, the unification. It's like that was the buzzword, and you heard about it in the pre-race show. You heard about it in every commercial break. I mean, it was like, come on, guys. Quit trying to make us feel like you did something to really benefit the sport. It's crazy.
Remember the talk about having a chase, and they're like, yeah, but we don't want to lose the integrity of the sport, the integrity of the series. Well, now you're treating supercross and motocross like regular seasons and not their own championships. Like, you just devalue.
But they each have different rule books, though.
Yeah, but you just devalued the entire series instead of just making it a change. So is it the Supercross series?
But wait, Chris, hold on. Because Roxon is from Germany, that's what makes it a world championship. Marvin is from France. That's what makes it a world championship. That was the comment.
I know, but that's ridiculous.
Drop the FIM, and now we're a world championship.
Yeah.
I have never heard world championship. I can't wait for him to say it.
Oh, everyone gets mad about us with clickbait, but that's like the ultimate clickbait with saying that it's a world championship. Andre makes a good point in the chat too, saying that Jet is going to qualify for both 450 and 250, but he thinks he's going to race 250 in the finale for the super duper.
He said
motocross.
Once he goes 450, he's staying 450.
So he wouldn't jump back down to race the.
I'm just telling you what Jet said. I'm not telling you what I would do. Jet says once he goes 450, he's not going back.
I hope he doesn't go back. That's my guy right there. And I need him to move to 450s because my co-host will not let me talk about him anymore.
What kind of legalities are going on behind the scenes on the use of the World Championship between FIM and this Super Duper series?
Well, I think Luongo is going to sue him when they call outdoors a World Championship, which is going to be awesome. I cannot wait for that lawsuit.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
But they're calling it a different sport. They're calling it Super Duper Cross.
Is that the loophole?
Truthfully, all in all,
seriously,
it is. That's got to be the loophole.
No, that makes sense. If they do a semantical twist on it, I could see that.
Look, who's got more money, the Luongos or Davy Coombs? Because that's going to be who wins this court case.
I think Luongo's got some mobsters around him. I wouldn't. That guy scares me just a little bit.
Well, guys, I think it's about that time. We've been running about an hour. I want to thank everybody that showed up for the shit show episode number 2. Make sure that in the description, you go and follow all these mother effers because they bring out good content and they all do their own thing incredibly well. And so thank you for liking and subscribing. We've all noticed a small little bump up. You guys have decided to join some more. We are creating a community, and make sure to share this show. And that next week on Friday at noon Pacific time, we're going to have episode 3. So do you guys have anything you want to say? Cooksey, where can we find you?
Guys, I started a new show called All Day, Every Day with Cooksey, where I'm proving to you I'm not a liberal like Johnny says. I'm talking about all sorts of good stuff. I'm sharing some old stories from college about how we smuggled a shark across the Mexican border. That actually happened.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
I got more stories. I was talking to my buddy Frank, and he was as soon as he heard that one, he was like, "Oh man." So, yeah. But anyway, head on over there, subscribe. I'm trying to get that one monetized. I'd appreciate that, and I'll keep dumping some good info over there.
Coach,
I think this guy's funny. He says, "Why you guys log enough? What else do you have to do?" I've got a meeting with an MXGP rider right after this, so that's what we're doing, boys.
Who care to name drop?
Travis.
It's Liam Owens out of Australia. He rides for Todd Waters' team, and did 2 of the MXGPs last year, and we're working on getting him a team spot over there for this year. So yes, sir, cool guy, great guy.
Sweet.
Todd Waters has got a new team that he started over there. He's acquired another team, so it's really cool.
Segue, Coach. Johnny, where can we find you?
Gosh.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for putting up with our. We like to bench race, but we like to have a lot of fun too. So, Trav, it's always good to have you, buddy. It's always good to see you. If you guys are looking for anything related to health, wellness, or performance, check us out at CompleteRacingSolutions.com. I would encourage you to please go and subscribe to the Coach Robb Beams on YouTube. I shot my first Coach Robb podcast for the 23 season with my new co-host, Mr. Toolman Dan Colvin. So if you guys get a chance, go over there. We'll be dropping the YouTube version of the podcast. Will drop every Monday, and you can listen to the podcast on all the podcast platforms. So thanks again for watching, and again, thank you for supporting these 3 other guys. It's a privilege to be on with them, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the support of you guys, sincerely. So thanks for hanging in there with us.
Travis, you're a special guest. Where can we find you?
Well, hey, I'm on YouTube and basically every other social media under the Moto Aftermath show. So check us out. We talk even more shit than we talk on the shit show. So every week there's a race. We're on here, me and my co-host, basically doing this. I think Coach is coming on next week after San Diego. He was supposed to be this week, but since there's no jet ski race this week, we had to cancel. So
awesome.
Johnny, I can't believe you started this liberal thing. Your guys are all on board. Everyone's calling me a liberal now.
Well, it'd probably help if
Johnny has some influencing powers. Johnny does. Johnny reinvents the word. He's an influencer. So now everybody knows Cooksey is a liberal because of Johnny's influence on their minds.
And it's not true.
Did Coombs pay you to say that?
It's the same thing with the whole carrots in the ear thing. I didn't even get that emoji with the carrots in the ear. Like, I'm like, carrots are supposed to help with eyesight to eat. Like cognitively, I didn't understand the diss, that it didn't affect me because I had no idea what it meant. So hopefully
it's a Pulp MX thing, bro.
What, carrot in the ear? What does that mean?
Yeah, because so back when Johnny was talking about Eli not getting the parts or whatever from Kawasaki, they talked about it on Pulp, and there was something with carrot ears or something. Like, we leaned into it. If you go to our Instagram profile, it's literally in our Instagram profile that we're like carrot ear people over here because we're morons. So I don't know. It's a Pulp MX diss on us. It's fine.
And Cooksey,
he doesn't like any of us.
Even if you might be just a tad.
I'm not liberal.
Republican.
I said
Republican.
You choose. Somebody said about my stance on COVID. COVID sucked.
Libertarian.
What you need to do is,
you don't own a
if you
gun.
felt like getting the vaccine,
understand.
Get it. If you don't, then don't. That's not liberal.
Oh, here we go. We're all off YouTube now. Shit.
Sorry.
God, you brought up the B word
at the beginning with the butt wax, and we were supposed to end the show a while ago, but everyone's keeps still hanging here. So until next time, keep it WFO, and it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a liberal. It's still going to be a shit show.
And you always have a voice here.